On the Dot is presented by Benjamina Mia Casino. Licensed real estate professional since 2008. License number S01669991 LLC. Moving to Vegas? There's no better time than now. So what are you waiting for? Call Benjamina today at 702-281-9063. Mia is also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. You can also visit www.benjaminamiacasino.com and view available homes anytime. Remember, the house wins when you bet on Benjamina Mia Casino. It's a lunch hour in Vegas, and we're on the dot with Dot and Mia here on PHLV Radio.
Hello, everybody. It's a Wednesday. It's November, and it's getting colder. Very, very cold. And welcome to On the Dot. My name is Dorothy Toll, not John. as this Zoom thing is showing, using my husband's computer. And welcome. My partner, Mia. Hello, Mia.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to On the Dot. My name is Mia Martin Casino.
Hey, Mia, you're looking fresh this morning, afternoon, whatever. Magandang background mo, PHLV Radio. I also have a PHLV mug.
Yay!
May merchandise tayo ha sa phlvradio.com.
Yes, we have
Okay.
sweatshirts, t-shirts, caps.
Yes.
May cap ba? May cap ba, Kuya Yu?
Ewan ko, umalis na siya. Okay, so Mia,
Yes.
let's introduce our guest today.
Yes, our guest is a BS Chemistry graduate of the University of the Philippines in Diliman. He holds a PhD in inorganic chemistry from the Iowa State University. He is the John and Rebecca Morse Professor of Chemistry at the University of Houston, recognized for the excellence in research, teaching, and service. He leads groundbreaking work in solid state and materials chemistry. Ano ba yun? What is that? And a dedicated mentor. He has guided numerous students and researchers in pursuing careers in advanced chemical sciences. A recent awardee of our UP Grand Reunion and Convention, Dr. Arnold M. Guloy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for a nice introduction, and thank you for inviting me to speak with you or have this moment with you.
Yes, we're honored to have you, Dr. Guloy. So we met you in Houston last month, and you
Yes.
were one of our speakers,
Yes.
and I was sitting in front, and some of the things you talked about, I understood. No. Let me correct that. A few of the things you talked about, I understood, and several others I could not. So one of the things we would like to learn from you is, making science palatable to the madlang people, making it understandable or relevant. We don't need to understand everything, right? But making it relevant. And talk to us a little bit about your passion, why you're doing this.
Okay. I'm in inorganic chemist. My focus is on solid state chemistry. So it's about the chemistry of solids, which when I was at UP was not even talked about, because solid state chemistry is not in the area of chemistry as defined by our chemical research in the Philippines. And so it was intriguing to me that all of these things that we're familiar with, semiconductors, your laptops, the materials you use for your laptops, the materials you use for your bulbs, are all based on solids, and
Okay.
how they are manufactured, how they are made, and how they are discovered deals with chemistry and how they were first made. So that to me was intriguing and very interesting from the point of view of curiosity. Later on, it became more of an applied focus, but that's what we are doing at the University of Houston. We're trying to understand solids, the chemistry of solids. You know?
Oh, naintindihan ko,
Mhm.
laptop.
Mhm.
Mia,
Eh,
what do you
yun pala yung inorganic.
solids yan.
Solid
Yeah,
pala. Yes.
Ah,
yeah. No, another one is the magnets we use are solids.
yeah.
Much of the properties that we are familiar with, we use useful properties, we call them, actually solid state properties. And so they arise from the chemistry, the chemical composition, the structure, and chemical bonds between atoms that are in the solid that make it up, that give rise to these very interesting properties or useful properties.
Oh, wow. Wow. So what got you interested in that? Back in UP, you could have chosen other courses, right? You could have chosen accounting or physics. You chose chemistry. Yeah.
Yes, my interest in chemistry started or began in high school. I was a student at the Manila Science High School,
Mm.
and I had two wonderful chemistry teachers who ignited my interest on chemistry, particularly at that time, organic chemistry. So these two wonderful people pushed me and trained me and mentored me to go into chemistry. And that's when I went to UP. And then again at UP, I had wonderful mentors who the word they use is nurture. Mentoring is nurturing, and so they nurtured my chemical development. Again, my my chemistry at UP was very organic. Those were biochemistry. So my thesis advisor is the well-known biochemist Clara Silianco, and so my thesis at UP was nothing inorganic. It was biochemistry. We were looking at mutagens. I learned how to kill a mouse, for example, properly,
Okay.
humanely.
You
That is one of
mean,
the, yeah, I mean, and those are the things that I learned, and then it just sparked my curiosity, and then fortunately, or yeah, nicely, a new professor from the U.S. at that time. I was a senior in chemistry. I was all geared up to go to graduate school, focusing on organic chemistry. And then a new faculty came, and his name was and and so he he then encouraged me. He was an inorganic chemist, and at that time he was a fresh PhD, came back from the US, and then he taught inorganic chemistry. And it intrigued me the way he taught it, the molecules that he introduced. I said, "Oh, I didn't know that was a molecule. I didn't know this." And so he told me, "Oh, there's a lot of things you can learn in inorganic chemistry." And so that's when I said, "Oh, okay, I'll try inorganic chemistry." So instead of organic chemistry, when I got to the US, I was looking for inorganic chemistry. Uh, but then it was molecules, right? So then I started reading about inorganic chemistry, and I read these papers uh, from a very famous inorganic chemist who was doing solids, and he was making these very interesting solids with metal bonds, and I was intrigued. I didn't know that there were bonds between metals. Because when we are in UP, when we talk about bonds, we talk about carbon bonds, carbon hydrogen bonds, and we think always as metals forming salts, right? They become ionic. And I never thought that there were sort of at that time we were never taught about metal bonds, that there could be bonds
mm,
between metals. They could be
yeah,
single bonds, double bonds, triple
yeah.
bonds. And so I was intrigued by that. And so I wrote to this professor and I said I wanted to join his group. And then he wrote back and said, yes, you're welcome to join my group. And so that's when I moved to Iowa State. So when I arrived at Iowa State, I went directly to him. And what's very funny was he was already a senior faculty. And he was at that time, maybe in his early 60s. And so when I arrived there, they asked me, who am I going to join? And then I told them that I'm going to join John Corbett's group. And he's going to retire. He's going to retire. And so I was shocked. They said, I came here to join his group and then he's going to leave. And so I went to see him. And so I told him, Dr. Corbett, I said, will I still be working with you? And he said, yes, you're welcome to join my group. And then he said, well, people are telling me you're going to retire. And then his face changed. He was so upset. He said, who told you I was going to retire? And it turns out there's no retirement age in faculty. As a faculty in a university, there's no such thing as a retirement age. You're not forced to retire. And so he then told me, don't listen to these people. There is no retirement. I'm going to stay here. And just to complete that, he was so passionate in his work. He never retired until he passed away. He passed away. He was still faculty. He was in his mid-80s when he passed away. So again, that was an opening for me. There is no retirement age for faculty. And then I joined this group, and that basically introduced me to all these things that I'm working on now, the basic techniques, the basic understanding of solids. And it's very interesting, at the same time, very challenging, because we still don't know much about solids.
Yeah, I know nothing.
So all the chemistry we learn in our chemistry courses in college deals with molecules, right? With molecules. And these have definite composition, right? So for example, methane will always be CH4, or benzene will always be C6H6, right? We associate those composition and structure to molecules. In the solids, ibang solids, they're more unpredictable. Solids can be non-stoichiometric, meaning they don't have a definite composition. They can have a range of composition. And again, if you go back to history, that's when there was a philosophical clash between what they call Daltonians, those who viewed Dalton's view of definite composition. He was English he's an English scientist at that time. You're probably familiar with Dalton, right? The Dalton theory, atomic theory, right? And then you have the French person, Berthollet, and Berthollet was a mineralogist. He studied minerals. And so the question was, do compounds have a definite composition or not? And Dalton said, yes, they have a definite composition. And Berthollet said, no, there is no definite composition for compounds. It turns out they both are correct. One was talking about solids, the other one was talking about molecules.
Ayun. Okay.
Yeah. I think with chemistry, what's hard is, the memorization of the periodic table. But when you put it into practice, like when I was in high school, when the teacher was asking us to memorize the periodic table, it was all a blur to me. But then when we went to the chem lab and we made soap, it was the time that, I appreciated chemistry. Everything pala is about chemistry. So if people are more into that, it will make chemistry more interesting. Diba?
Yes.
That's true. That's true. I mean, chemistry is the way you try to understand chemistry is it is quantitative, right? Like physics. Physics is very quantitative, so is chemistry. It's quantitative. It's also very conceptual, like biology. Biologists are more conceptual. They're more into qualitative arguments. And chemistry does that too. And that's where the difficulty of chemistry lies, is people tend to have difficulty going from quantitative to conceptual to quantitative. And as chemists, you learn to do both at the same time. And that's hard to teach. I have to admit, it's hard to teach. Many focus on the quantitative aspects, or some would just focus on the qualitative and conceptual issues. And at the end, it will be confusing. So it's, again, having to memorize the periodic table. You don't really need to memorize the periodic table. I always tell my students, you don't need to memorize the
Very good.
Yeah, it will come to you. It's like learning a language. You learn a language, you increase your vocabulary as you work on it, as you study on it, you increase your vocabulary. And that's basically what chemistry is also. One of the things when I went to grad school was in grad school, we had what we call cumulative exams. You don't have it now, but at that time, we have what we call cumulative exams, or CUMs. And in that one is at Iowa State, and I guess most chemistry departments then, was you are supposed to pass a certain number of cumulative exams to go into the candidacy, to be able to take a candidacy exam. And you do the CUMs for the first 2 years. And when you pass a certain number, then you end it. So the first CUM exam I had, and the first question, there was only one question. There was only one question in that CUM, which is given every month, once a month. It was draw and table in longhand form the periodic table,
Ayan, wow.
including actinides and lanthanides. And we were all, there were many of us looking at each other. There was only one question. And it was and there was no, and normally in a chemistry lecture class, you have the periodic table in front of you. So that's why they put a cloth on top over of the periodic table. We then had to write down the periodic table, okay? And in longhand, and the thing is in longhand form.
Wow.
With all the
Grabe.
elements. Yeah. So that was my...
Siyempre, pasado ka, Doc. Do you think that's maganda kayang exam yan para sa mga Pilipino back in the Philippines or kahit here, no? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they were judging us as graduate students. So we were supposed, we already had we were taking our courses, advanced courses in chemistry. We should know, right? I mean, the assumption is you should know your periodic table.
Tama.
And
Yeah.
at that time,
Pinamemorize yun eh.
but then we know the shape. You can draw
Right.
the shape of what it looks like and how many columns and how many rows, right? The question was, you put in all the symbols, right? And
Right.
we don't remember all of the elements in the symbols, and that was
Wow.
hard.
That is so fascinating. Parang the basic nung sa kindergarten is simply to fill in the blanks yung A, B, C, A
Yeah,
to Z,
yeah.
in
Mhm.
correct order. And
Right,
in your case, or like the missing numbers, 1 to 100.
right,
But in your
right.
case, it's the missing element, the entire table.
Yeah.
Grabe, pati multiplication table dati. We have to memorize
Yeah, we
that.
have to
Yeah.
memorize.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Chemistry was fascinating to me. Even, you just imagine what it becomes, diba? If you mix 2 hydrogens with oxygen, it becomes water. Parang,
Yeah.
wow. Napapaganon talaga ako. It was just the
Yeah.
fact that we had to memorize it, the periodic table. But if you go beyond it, mafa-fascinate ka talaga eh.
Yeah, yeah.
Diba? It's really fascinating.
I always tell my students an example is, salt, sodium
Yeah.
chloride, right?
Asin.
We eat
Okay.
it, asin, right? We eat it.
NaCl.
Yeah,
Oh,
we eat
alam
it.
Ah.
We eat it. It's not toxic. We put it in our food, right? Not too much, of course, but to add taste to our food, right? But then you look at the components of sodium chloride, right? You have sodium metal and chlorine. Both
Oh, tama ako.
right? Sodium is flammable. It explodes. When you put it in water, it's going to burn. It will ignite. Okay? It's a very reactive metal. It's dangerous, in fact. Then chlorine is poisonous. In fact, they use it in World War One to kill people, as a chemical weapon, right? But then if you mix them, if you mix sodium and chlorine, they form a very stable compound, salt, which is very important. It's not toxic, you know. So that's chemistry. You change the property, and you change the attributes, the nature of the elements once you start mixing them, and they can form different compounds.
Tama.
So
Correct.
yeah,
From toxic to non-toxic. Ang galing.
yeah,
Oo.
and a very essential one. We have to have salt.
Yeah. It makes me think of, who was it who said the sum of the whole is greater than its parts.
Yeah,
Parang, yeah. Mia alone is Mia. Dorothy alone is Dorothy. Dr. Arnold Guloy alone is Dr. Arnold.
yeah,
Put them all together, all of us three together, we create a synergy. We create
yeah,
a totally different energy together.
yeah.
So that's, parang may naintindihan na ako sa chemistry.
Yeah.
Dr. Doc Guloy, do you do mentoring?
Yes, yes, yes.
Only for your students or for UP students back home?
Yes, I've been working with UP since the early 2000. When Dr. Ratilla, the late Dr. Ratilla, came to visit me at Houston. We were at Iowa State together. We were both graduate students. She went back to the Philippines, and I admired her for it. She came back and told me they had problems in the Philippines. And at UP, the biggest problem, he said, was the faculty was aging, and they had the younger people, the younger faculty, they couldn't get. There was particularly in my field, inorganic chemistry. She was an inorganic chemist as well. And so she asked me what can be done. How can we increase the number of inorganic faculty at UP? And so at that time we went to our dean, University of Houston, Dr. John Baer, and he suggested, why don't you bring students here? And why don't you go back and teach? He told me. And so and Dr. Ratilla was very receptive to it. She went back and we started communicating. And then they arranged a Balik Scientist. And at that time, it is called ESEP, something like that, ESEP. There's a program that I could go back and teach for a semester. And this became sort of a usual pilgrimage for me to go to the Philippines and teach for a month or a semester, teaching inorganic chemistry. That's how to fill in the gap, right? There's still they didn't have enough faculty at that time, so I tried to help teach the course. Also, I sent them, those who couldn't teach inorganic chemistry, as they're not familiar with it, we sent them notes. So the instructors at University of Houston who were inorganic chemists, I asked for their notes and the textbook they were using, and they were very supportive, and they gave their notes, they gave their textbook to help the faculty in the Philippines to teach these chemistry courses. And that was the first. That was sort of the gap, filling in the gap, because then the next step was to bring in students, then train them here, get their PhD, and go back.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Nice.
So we did that. I have to credit Dr. Ratilla, the late doctor. She passed away some years ago. Dr. Kibuyan, who was the chairman then, or the director, was very supportive. He helped me, whenever I visited the Philippines. So it became a yearly assignment for me to go back to the Philippines and teach inorganic chemistry, solid state chemistry in particular. That's where it started. And then over the years, we started getting students from the Philippines. I already talked about the program we had at the Gala, wherein we took in students from UP, and they would either be sandwich students, they could either be regular graduate students, or they could be what we call the joint PhD students. So we had this program that we were able to get in, and over time we were able to graduate in since 2000. I'm trying to recall 2009 up to 2024, we had over 38 PhDs. We were able to produce 38 PhDs.
38.
38
Oh,
PhDs in chemistry. Now, if you include, because the program expanded to engineering, physics, geology, if you include those, we produced over, easily over 60 PhDs. Okay?
Nice.
Filipino
Doc Gu-
PhDs.
Doc Guloy, let me interrupt you over there.
Yes.
Do you think tayo mga Pilipino, are we open? Are we receptive? Are we good scientists?
Well, yes. I mean, science is international. It's basically application of critical thinking. So, and Filipinos are very critical. Uh, that's always
Very
the
good.
joke.
In
That's
all
my joke.
in every sense of word, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Science is the use of critical thinking, and Filipinos are very critical. So
Yeah.
they should do well. If they have the good foundation, the foundation of science is always good logic, critical thinking, and math, quantitative. Because if you're poor in math, then it's going to be very difficult interpreting equations, right? And deriving and expanding equations. But again, the training at UP math is, the training of math in UP is excellent. I mean, we have very, very highly regarded faculty in math who teach, in the US, for example, the first 2 years, the easy general math are taught by instructors. Okay, they're not taught by the faculty, those who are going on to research. In the Philippines, these general math courses are taught by experienced faculty, and that's a big advantage that we get at UP compared to, let's say, here in the US. Okay, in the US, we are, the first year, second year math are taught by graduate students,
Okay,
right?
okay.
And
Paano
that's a
yung
big
ibang,
difference.
what about other schools? Do you have experience with other schools, hindi lang UP back then?
Yes. When we started this program, as I mentioned a while ago, we were focusing on UP, but UP couldn't produce all the PhD students they can, right? So we wanted more. So we expanded this to Ateneo. We took in Ateneo students. We took the first student who came and joined the UH was from Ateneo,
Okay.
not UP. But now he's back in the Philippines as a faculty at UP. Yeah. So he was an Ateneo graduate, and he was the first. He was the first in this program. And then we expanded it to Ateneo, La Salle, UPL. I mean, I still consider UPL the UP, so that
Yeah.
doesn't count. We expanded it, for example, to San Carlos. We had 2 students from University of San Carlos at Cebu, and they did well. They did extremely well.
Nice.
So we also had a student from Mindanao State University. For a while, she was, we tried to help our students. She was the wife of one of the students, a Filipino students, and she did her BS at Mindanao State University. And I said, she was a cum laude graduate, Mindanao State University. Let her in. And so she did well as well. She did very well. And so, as I said, it's just a matter of opportunity, giving Filipinos the opportunity, and they will do well. Given the access, it's very important, is access and opportunity. And again, as I said, this helped a lot because we waived, in the US, if you're from the Philippines and you want to go enter grad school, there are many exams that you have to take. You take 2 exams or 3, depending on your major. You take the TOEFL exam. It's required. Texas, it's the test of English as a foreign language. Okay. And then you have to take what they call the graduate record examination, or simply GRE, the GRE exam. And you have to take them, before while you're applying, and it's expensive.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oo,
Yes,
4,000, magkano
it's
ba yun
expensive.
dati?
Yeah.
5,000 pesos yun eh.
Right.
Oh,
At the time when our students were applying, GRE cost a month and a half of their salary.
oh, wow.
Okay. To
Mhm.
take the GRE and the TOEFL, it would take 2 months' salary, right? So that's going to be very difficult for them to do it. And so again, now the University of Houston was very supportive of our initiative. They waived the GRE.
Oh, nice.
So Filipinos, particularly those in our program, when they apply to our program, the GRE is waived. They don't need to take the GRE. On the other hand, it's a requirement, right? It's a requirement for the entire United States, right? So the way we went around this is we waive the GRE, right? Then they come here. Then we give them a year to take the GRE. By that time, they already had salary. We gave them stipends, and it becomes cheaper, okay, for them to take the GRE when they are in the US rather than when they're in the Philippines. It's the cost is double if you take it in the Philippines compared if you take it in the United States.
Oh,
So
that is smart.
that's
Yeah.
how we able to go around this requirement as long as they take it within the year. So when they arrive here normally they arrive here in August, so they have till August to end of July the next year to take the GRE. And if you're in the US, the GRE is offered every other month.
Mm, mhm.
In the Philippines, it's offered every 6 months, twice a year,
Okay.
right?
Mm.
So again, we found that as a nice solution to that problem,
Good,
and it
good.
helped our students. And because when you think about it, Filipinos have to pay that. I mean, our Filipino students have to pay that, and then they have to pay for their travel. They have to pay for their getting their visa applications, and it's kind of costly, particularly if they come from the rural, from Mindanao or Visayas. That becomes even more expensive because they have to go to Manila,
Tama.
right, for their interview.
Yeah. Mm.
And so we found that we try to accommodate them in the best we can. And again, this is a sort of it's a teamwork between those at UP Diliman and UH. The UP Diliman faculty were also, I mean, we told them, hindi mga UP Diliman to, but can you help them? And they said, yeah, sure, we'll help them. And it went through, we got, I mean, over the years, we were able to get over 60 graduate students from the Philippines on the average of about 5 to 6 a year.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, not all of them got their PhDs. Some quit with their masters, some moved to other universities, and that's fine. Due to personal reasons, some had to move. Or in one case, a large group of my colleague faculty had like about 6 Filipino students, and he moved to another university. And so I told him, you're welcome to join to follow your advisor. So that's, again, if you include that, then we probably we ended up with more than 40 PhDs. But the 38 PhDs are from University of Houston. So
Oh, nice. Yeah.
that's in a a brief history what happened and how we were able to mentor this. And how I was able to mentor again is all of these Filipino students. See, one of the things that I decided, and this was a personal decision, is for this program to succeed, I cannot be greedy. Right? I should not take all of these students and only the students of Filipino students go through my group. That's not, that's not healthy. So I talked to my colleagues, I talked to my faculty colleagues and told them I'd like all of them to join as varied groups as possible. Inorganic, organic, physical chemistry, theoretical chemistry. If that is their interest, they should join those groups. I didn't want them to join my group because they had no choice.
Oh, yeah.
So on the other hand, the only thing I required was I would be a co-advisor.
Okay.
Okay? That I will be informed of their progress, and at the end, during their candidacy and their thesis defense, I will be in the committee.
Oh, that is really very good. That's a very important component of
Yes, yes.
mentorship. Yeah.
So that in all of those PhDs, I was a co-advisor, and it helped that, just to help me, the department said, then you can run the graduate program. So I became the graduate program director of our department, and later on, I was part of the dean's graduate program director. So for international programs, when it expanded to math, expanded to physics, it expanded to geosciences and engineering, I still had to be involved in tracking these students.
Ang galing
So,
naman.
so
Yeah.
that's how in a way I was able to mentor. Of course, I was able to mentor a number. I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, about 10 students, Filipino students who did research under my supervision. 3 of them went back to UP Diliman. So 3 of them are now faculty at UP Diliman in inorganic chemistry.
Thank you so much, Doc. That's very informative. When we come back, because we're going to take a short break, we're gonna ask you about your award that you got, no, from UP Alumni Association in America. So we'll take a very short break. Don't go away, friends.
Moving to Vegas? There's no better time than now. So what are you waiting for? Call Benjamina today at 702-281-9063. Mia is also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. You can also visit www.benjaminamiacasino.com and view available homes anytime. Remember, the house wins when you bet on Benjamina Mia Casino.
Welcome back to On the Dot. You're listening at PHLB Radio and watching as well. PHLB Radio, you can find us on Alexa, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, etc., the whole wide world. My name is Dorothyto, and my partner is Mia. Mia is the current president of the University of the Philippines Alumni Association in Nevada. And she's outgoing. Mia, what can you say?
Yes, it was a very, very educational 4 years of my life. And I'm very honored to be president for the 2 terms. And I'm looking forward to the new administration, Mr. Art Javier, and the administration for UPAAN.
Yay. Yay. And those of you, if you're a graduate of UP from anywhere in any of the campuses, right, Mia?
Yes. You can join us for $50. That's lifetime membership. Join us. We have a website, www.upaanv.com. Or you can call me or call PHLV. Just join us.
Yes, ask the universe, and the universe will lead you to us. Ay, nako, bigla. And today our guest is distinguished UP alumnus, Dr. Arnold Guloy, recipient of UP AAA award. What year was that, Doc Guloy? Not this year.
No, not this year. Actually,
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yeah, probably. I don't remember.
My goodness, I did not even look, but I know that you are a recipient. That's why you were a speaker.
They invited me to speak, yes,
Yes.
for this gala. I was recommended by my what do you call this, classmates, UP chemistry batchmates at Chicago. They recommended that they asked me to give a talk since I'm in Houston. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So how did your award impact your professional and personal life, perhaps? Yeah.
I mean, it just encouraged me to continue the work that I've been doing. It's nice to be recognized for the work we've been doing for for UP in particular. So much of the work we've done, as I said, was to help UP chemistry at the time, wherein they were in dire need of faculty, and we were able to help them. So they're actually doing well now. They have now a lot of very active, research active faculty in chemistry at the Institute of Chemistry at Diliman. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm
Yeah.
happy to at least have sort of contributed a bit of my efforts to help them. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's very good because early, even Karina, during the break, I heard you and Mia talking about study groups. And
Yes.
it feels like this thing that we're doing with being alumni of UP, it's like a huge study group for me, like we come together and we help each other.
Yes.
And
Yes.
not just within our own context, but we give back to the university and to the country. And
Mhm.
like you said earlier, hindi lang UP ang recipients ng mga scholarships ninyo, but Ateneo, uh, Ateneo,
Mhm.
San Carlos, LaSalle. So, would you kindly repeat what you said about study groups if a person has difficulty, studying?
Oh, yeah. In chemistry, as I mentioned to Mia, to help her daughter, it's hard to study chemistry by yourself because you're trapped. You set the track of thought
Mhm.
for yourself, right? And it helps to have other perspectives uh, because chemistry, there's just not one route to the correct answer. You know, there are many ways to get into the correct answer. It's just a matter of finding the quickest way.
Right.
And you can find that by having different perspectives of how you view the problem. And it helps if, as I said, you have a physicist, you have a mathematician, a chemist, a biologist, and engineering there, they have a different way of looking at the problem. And you'll find, as you discuss, you find, oh, that's the quickest way to this problem. Then you identify that this is the typical problem that requires this trend of thought. And you learn these different ways as you approach the problem. Because many of the chemistry questions, and you can tell this to your daughter, because I teach chemistry, the problem's always been semantics. Students,
Wordings.
yes, students know the concept.
Mhm.
And when they read the question, they don't answer the question. Okay? So I told them, I always remind my students, when there's a question, you read the question, the semantics, and specify what is being asked. Right? What is being asked? Answer what is being asked. Sometimes chemistry becomes so conceptual, you give an answer that is correct, but it's not answering the question.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Because during the
Right.
break, I was asking Dr. Guloy, my daughter, who's in college now, is having a difficulty with higher chemistry. So I asked for his advice. And also, what you were saying, Dot, about, being in one group. I also asked Lorene Pelayo, our,
Mhm.
our incoming secretary. She's a teacher too, and she's a math teacher and she teaches science. And what she said was, tell your daughter to rewrite the notes. Sometimes
Mhm.
it helps too. So it's a very nice that we have a community to ask also, just to help out with your issues with whatever. This time it's chemistry.
And,
So yeah.
and she is right, by the way, with the age of PowerPoints and slides, the students don't take notes anymore.
Mhm.
And it's always interesting. And I always also tell that to my student is I have PowerPoint slides, I send them, but then they have to comment and write comments onto the slides as to how they understood it or restate the concept as the way I saw it
Mhm.
and try to write it in their own words.
Right.
That sort of yes, that's another good tip that students should be using.
I
Mhm.
love that. I love that. In Montessori, Dr. Maria Montessori said because I taught in Montessori for 14 years, Doc Guloy, uh, the hand is the instrument of the brain.
Yes,
The
yes,
hand
it's
is the
true.
instrument of the brain. And
Yeah.
another thing that, in relation to what you said earlier, the semantics of chemistry and of any other exam, any other test, my professor in UP, Dr. Aurora Bautista, she's I took lessons on, my master's was on English as a second language. So she said one of the lessons was on technical English or
Mhm.
special what is that? Yeah, the English, using English for technical writing. Okay. And she said, and now I found out that this is very true. Every test is a language test,
Yes.
whether it's math or science or philosophy or whatever. If a person does not understand the language, he will never understand the question of the test.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
basically, that's so correct, Doc Guloy. I mean, I'm not saying that it could be wrong, but I'm saying that it's so congruent with what she said. Every test, any test, is a language test.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's true. Yeah.
And when I was in high school, when they were asking us to memorize the periodic table, I'm a very visual learner. So I was thinking to myself, sana it had pictures. So it was easier for me to remember.
Oy,
Mhm.
tama, no?
Yeah,
Yeah, visual.
visual.
Yeah, you're a visual learner.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. Doc Gulo, you just made nung speaker ka sa GRC last month. I said, what is Doc Guloy trying to say? Because how can I relate that to my life? But with our conversation here today, I can relate very well with your advocacy, your passion in life, what you're doing. And you're not just doing it for the sake of chemistry. It feels to me like you're really doing it for humanity, not just
Mm.
not just for academics, but you have an impact on the world. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. The funny thing is, it's also fortuitous because it's fortunate that I stayed in Houston because actually after my postdoc, I postdoc at IBM, I applied to the Philippines. I wanted to go back. That was one of my goals then when I went to grad school here was to go back to the Philippines. And so when I applied, so I wrote letters to four schools at that time. UP Diliman was one of them. And no one replied. Okay? They didn't reply to my application. I wanted to come back and no one replied except for one school. And that school replied and said, they said, we are impressed with your work, but we don't think you will succeed here because the field you have that doesn't exist here. And so we encourage you to stay in the US. Okay.
Mm.
And that was from, actually, I can tell the school, LaSalle. And so of the four schools I applied to, only LaSalle responded. And LaSalle responded, said, I'm sorry, I don't think there's a space for you here. So that's when I decided to apply to US schools when no one replied. And now in the way, if I had gone back to the Philippines, maybe they would be true. I mean, I see my former students now who are at UP, they are struggling. And that's one thing that probably we can help them is the Philippines, they have no money now, but they just don't know how to manage science,
Yeah.
how to manage and support scientists. And it's sad to say, I mean, it's just, I guess they just have to, reorganize at least. And many of my students, former students, as well as those who went back, who are there now, is struggling. Uh, they're struggling in terms of support, not just financial support, more of the infrastructure and the bureaucratic support that they require to be successful. Although they're still successful, I would say, despite all those difficulties, they've been publishing papers. They've been graduating master's students. So they've in a way been successful, but it could be better, much better.
Yeah.
That's very true. I remember in grade school, I was fascinated with science. I was reading the Popular Science Encyclopedia because I was fascinated by it. But as I grew older, my love for science became lesser and lesser because of the difficulty, 'di ba? But yung 'di ba everything about I was reading Popular Science instead of the love, yung mga
Oh,
romantic.
Barbara Heartland.
Oh, it was facts for me. It was facts. It wasn't fictional. So it was more interesting to me. I think if you nurture that love or your fascination for it, I think there's more Filipinos who'd be more into science and become scientists.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you for mentioning that, Mia and Doc Guloy. Even the arts, the field of
Mhm.
the arts and sports, they have the same comment. If
Mhm.
only our government has more support
Yeah.
for us. No, and so yeah, science, and I believe we made an impact ang mga Pilipino during the COVID times. Ang Genome Project, was it somewhere in UP that was
Mhm.
started? It greatly helped sa pagdevelop ng inoculation and all that. And even our Filipino nurses are very important. They worked so much during the pandemic. So I feel that we do need to focus, like you said, reorganize, probably
Mhm.
reprioritize our support for artists, scientists, sports people, athletes, and not just the entertainment industry, because the entertainment is fully supported. Madaming,
Yeah.
madaming, yeah, it's escape. But real life, the boots on the ground, so to speak, yung
Yeah.
mga scientists natin, mga doctors natin. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think people should be more aware of inorganic chemistry. Like me, I didn't know what it was,
Mm.
but as I learned about it today, I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diba? Yeah.
Yeah, our chemistry in the Philippines is so health, medical,
Mm.
agricultural based. So there's a lot of biochemistry, health-related sciences, agricultural based sciences is very strong in the Philippines. As you know, we have ERI there, and
Yes.
but then in the non-agricultural, non-health sciences, that's where we're sort of really lagging behind.
Right.
And again, you can't blame them because the priority, of course, is health and agriculture in an agricultural country. But again, to be able to industrialize and develop part of nation building is to do everything. I mean,
Right.
to sort of focus as science, not just for the health, not just for agriculture, but also the industrial base of nation building, and that includes engineering related sciences, physics, inorganic chemistry, materials chemistry, which is what yeah, solid state chemistry has now been transformed to what they call materials chemistry, uh, and those people have to realize it is those sciences that help develop Germany, that help develop Japan and China and Korea to become to become developed countries as they were now. Just the way of how they've developed. Just an example is iron. Okay, iron. The base of all the industrial development of countries have been the ability to produce cheaply iron in steel, and that's always been a step towards industrialization, whether the United States, England, France, okay, and then Japan, Germany was the first one, and then they saw the recipe. China followed the recipe. South Korea followed the recipe, and so that's engineering, metallurgy, solid state materials, chemistry, and physics in there, and that seems to be where we're lagging
Yeah.
behind.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, that's very true. Because I remember when I went to Germany, I was so amazed with all their products, even the toothpick. You can tell that they put some thought into it. So what I was really amazed. I was like,
Yeah.
it's not an ordinary wood. They thought about it. And I was so amazed when I was in Germany.
Well,
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
that's the German culture.
Excellent.
I've been visiting Germany since 2004. I have joint appointment at the Max Planck Institute there. I've been a visiting scientist for many years, and I've observed them. I've been a very keen observer of German science, and that's one thing one would like to have. I mean, German science and German culture, in particular, are very detailed.
Yeah, the
They
precision, right?
they are really precise. They're accurate in describing things because the German language itself is very precise.
Oh, yeah.
They can create words, okay, to specify a very specific description. That's why it's a very, very scientific language, I would have to say, German. And what is interesting about Germans also is they are very they write beautiful reports, thorough reports. It's just part of their culture. My lab notebooks from my German students are so nice. I keep them because I can read it like a book.
Yeah.
They're so detailed. And I think it's just part of their culture.
Culture.
And you can also direct this to the Japanese. The Japanese also are very similar. That's why Germans and Japanese, they understand each other very well. The way they describe things, they write. They have a very scientific culture, a research-oriented culture, I have to say. They really are interested in how things work.
I love that.
And describe it properly, accurately, and precisely. And yeah, that would be nice for Filipinos to learn.
Yeah.
No.
I really love this conversation, Dr. Guloy. I learned a lot from you today. So thank you so
Thank you.
much. You know,
Thank you.
yeah, I look forward to seeing you again or having a conversation with you again some other time, some
Yes,
UP
yes.
reunion. And if
Yeah.
you happen to be here in Las Vegas, you come over. There's an F1 event this weekend.
Yeah.
Ewan na, siguro may mga German cars doon.
Yeah.
Sure.
Madami.
Madami, no? Madami. Mia's a German car.
Yeah.
I love German technology.
Yeah,
That's
I
why they
love
call
German
German engineering too, right?
Yeah.
When they say German engineering, they're so
Right.
precise.
Yes.
It's very interesting. Is at the Max Planck Institute, and the head of the technical division, which is a machine lab. I mean, that's basically the machinists and technologists have the same salary and level as the director, scientific director of a PhD group.
Wow.
So they really give value. They really
Wow.
give value to the technicians who build the instruments. They are given the same salary and the same level in terms of retirement. And that's one thing I learned from them too. That we should do that in the Philippines, is to encourage people who learn, who can make instruments to be given to be given the same recognition and ranking as those who
Value.
are, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So our show is coming to an end, Dr. Guloy, and Mia has a quote for us.
I've enjoyed the conversation very much. I really enjoy it. And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, Mia, with your
My quote is from Hello Bio. In scientific work, those who refuse to go beyond fact rarely get as far as fact.
Oh, wow.
That's nice.
Ano sabi niya dyan? Paki-explain naman. Doc Guloy, what can you say about that?
Well, that's the goal of science, essentially, is to find and prove. I mean, science, again, that's why Filipinos should be good scientists. We start with what we call skepticism, or you may say a non-malicious skepticism. Okay? That's science. Science, you have to be skeptical about your work. You should be the most skeptical person about your work, because otherwise, if you're not, then other people will catch you. So that's how you start science, is you be skeptical but without malice. It's more, trying to figure out which is a fact, right? And observations will always be a fact, correct observations. That's why we have to measure. We have to measure accurately, precisely how these behaviors, how these descriptions are. so that then we can come up with a repeatable fact, something that's factual, that can be repeated if the conditions are the same. And that's basically what we call a scientific fact. It's the observation. The observation is to be. The interpretations can change. The interpretations of the fact can change over time, depending on how the measurements become more improved, right? And that's sort of how science has evolved, is improving the measurements and then trying to come up with a more quantitative description of that fact. And
Yeah.
that's science.
I feel that that's the way life should be dealt with.
Yes.
Get the facts and just the facts. And what's that again? Skeptical,
Non-malicious.
non-malicious skepticism,
Yeah.
non-malicious skepticism of your own life. It's like a clinical look at your own life so that
Yeah.
you don't just live in an echo chamber and you just
Yeah.
pat your own back and ano yan? Yung bit sariling bangko.
Yeah. That's true.
Anyway, that is such a precious life formula, I feel, at this moment when you don't know, tama ba yan? Ipa-fact check ba natin yan? Tama ba yan? AI ba yan?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, the
awesome.
other one, of course, is one that's holding many Filipinos from being a good scientific interpretation is superstition.
Oh,
Yeah.
Being superstitious is being non-scientific. Right?
true,
And
true.
so we have to get away from superstitions and start being skeptical about the superstitions and try to prove it if they are true, right?
Yeah, I love that. Yes. So it's been a wonderful episode this Wednesday. Thank you so much, Dr. Guloy.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. I enjoyed talking to you both.
Yes, yes.
So we
So,
therefore conclude.
ano Mia, conclusion na.
Yeah, so we therefore conclude. So,
You're proving your hypothesis na. All right. And so we conclude today's On the Dot. You're on the dot with Dr. Guloy. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
see you again next week. Have a great Wednesday, everyone.
You too.
Bye.
Moving to Vegas? There's no better time than now. So what are you waiting for? Call Benjamina today at 702-281-9063. Mia is also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. You can also visit www.benjaminamiacasino.com and view available homes anytime. Remember, the house wins when you bet on Benjamina Mia Casino.